Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. We have been seeing drops from the ocean of Leelas of Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Sometimes the Leelas are concerned about the suffering of the devotees, and there would be instant relief or guidance or protection from Bhagwan. We have seen lots of that. Sometimes the Leelas are deeper, carrying a teaching lesson with them. After all, His name and remembering His Leelas must transform us, both inside and outside. If we keep asking for things one after the other, and if He should satisfy us every time giving what we want, we may not grow at all, spiritually speaking. So sometimes Bhagwan would play other games, but we have to remember whatever happens only by His will. Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan used to say, the people of wisdom that whatever happens only by His grace, only by the will of God. And since it comes from God, it's got to be a blessing. Whatever happens is necessary for our spiritual growth. And since it comes from God, it's got to be a definite blessing. So Bhagwan said, if we remember that everything comes only from God and therefore a blessing, this is pure wisdom and this is the truth, and therefore people of such wisdom, though they may have to go through several testings in life, they would still be able to handle them well with spiritual strength and peace. This is more important than Bhagwan removing our sufferings one after the other. He would do it up to a certain point and see if we would grow spiritually. There are different ways of giving grace. Once, in the breakfast hut, we were all seated, the ladies on the one side and the men on the other side, and Bhagwan was seated in the middle. Soon the then trustee came and announced there was a boy of 7 years or 8 years who fell down during the work. He was helping his father with something, and he fell down, got hurt near the heel. He had been taken to the doctor, and the doctor had dressed it up, and still it was taking a long time to heal. So he was saying to Bhagwan, Bhagwan, will you please see this little boy? It was just before we were going to have our breakfast. I got Bhagwan's breakfast ready, which we had brought from Sudama, a chapati soaked in sabji. At the same time, the ashram also would give something to eat. So Bhagwan would have both. First he would eat something from the ashram's breakfast, And then he would take this chapati soaked, because it was easy for him to take this. So when I got everything ready, this boy walked in, and then I saw the hurt. There was pus and blood. Quite a bit of area was affected, and the boy was finding it difficult to walk up and down. But Bhagwan, as soon as he came, he called him near. He put his right hand palm right over the wound. He kept it for some time and then said, "Now you walk." The boy was limping originally. Now he was trying to walk straight. He walked a little, came back and complained there was still pain. And then again, Bhagwan put his hand over that and made him walk up and down, and the third time also he did. And by then the boy was able to walk. Bhagwan was satisfied, and the wound would heal very soon. So he gave his blessings to the boy, saying that you would be all right soon, and left him. Here I was getting ready with water, because I knew Bhagwan had put his hand straight on the wound, and there were patches of pus and blood on the palm. So I was ready with water and a plate. And Bhagwan knew that I was ready. So when they put the plate and served the breakfast, and before that I was ready with this, but then Bhagwan, with one sweep of his hand, said, "No, no Devaki." And he put his hand straight on the food and started eating. Imagine my plight. With all that pus and blood, he wouldn't wash, straight away put his hand on the food and started eating. Because I knew, I saw, I was a little, the disgust took over. I felt bad that he was doing. And suddenly the wisdom came. Because, he would always leave some for me to eat. I had to eat the leftover. So when this disgust welled up inside, by his presence, by his grace, the wisdom also dawned that he had put his hand on that, so it had become prasad. Once the wisdom came to me, I had no more complaints. I looked upon it as prasad, and then on that day, that particular day, he left most of it to me. But I could eat it without any objection, because I looked upon it as prasad. This is wisdom. Wisdom comes to our rescue when we handle situations which are not exactly to our liking. And Bhagwan was teaching me that lesson, which added to my mental strength. There was another time, and a devotee, just when we were leaving, a devotee came running with a vessel. She handed over to me, saying that it had something she had cooked for Bhagwan with great devotion. I looked at Bhagwan. Bhagwan nodded his head, and immediately I took it with me. Then we went to Sudama. Bhagwan sat there for his lunch. I opened it with great expectation, because it was a dish Bhagwan liked very much. But no sooner I opened, I closed immediately, hastily, before Bhagwan saw it. Because there was a worm right on top, dead, lying right over that, right on top of the food. I was so scared. There was no saying what Bhagwan would do next. So I hastily closed it. Of course, Bhagwan did not see it with his physical eyes, but he had an inner eye. No detail ever escaped his attention. Immediately he said, Devaki, what are you doing? Open that. So I had no choice and I opened it and showed it to him. He said, oh, all right, you bring a spoon. Then I went and I knew what was coming. I came and then I just took this. He said, remove that, Devaki. So I removed the worm, threw it away and came, thinking that Bhagwan was going to eat it. And again the disgust welled up. And Bhagwan just looked at me, one look, and then he said, Devaki, you start eating. It's for you. Imagine my plight again. But then I knew he looked at it and his word was there. His look, his word made it prasad. And the minute I looked upon it as prasad from him, it did not matter what it was. The wisdom. So the wisdom is more important than his removal of our suffering. Sometimes Bhagwan seemed very indifferent to his situation, that you would think maybe he was absorbed in something else. But then I had found out from my experience, no detail, however small it is, would escape his attention, could possibly escape his attention. Once in Sudama, it was about 9 o'clock, 9:15 or so. About 9:50 or something, we would leave for darshan of Bhagwan at the ashram. Suddenly, I heard a beggar woman calling out from outside the gate, saying, Amma, please give me something to eat. I feel so hungry, Amma. Please give me something to eat. I have not eaten for some time. And then I looked at Bhagwan. Bhagwan was busy smoking. He was doing his father's work, completely absorbed in that. He looked at me, he knew, he saw my eyes and he knew the question in the eyes. There was no need to express anything. And then he kept quiet, he continued smoking. So I had to ask, I could not help asking. I said, Bhagwan, can we give something for her to eat? There was nothing because we always had breakfast in the ashram. And we would cook some chapatis and sabji only for Bhagwan because the chapati had to be soaked in sabji so that he could eat it. He could not eat anything hard. So I thought we could always find something and give her. And again Bhagwan looked at me and kept quiet. Then I knew that I could not push ahead. But this lady, she looked through the slit between the wall and the door because I looked back and she was shouting again. She was begging, Amma, Amma, please give me something to eat. I'm feeling so hungry. I'm hungry, Amma. Please give me something to eat. And the way she was begging, again it attacked me, the pangs of her suffering held me, and again there was agitation in me. I knew that Bhagwan would always do the needful, and for a minute I thought Bhagwan was absorbed in his work. And I could not help asking again, Bhagwan, can I just give her some coin? She said she's terribly hungry. Can I just go and give her a coin. Again he looked at me in a certain way and kept quiet. So I could not go on. I could not go ahead. I kept quiet, but the question was still in my eyes. Why is Bhagwan doing this? This poor lady, she seemed to be old, and she was begging for a little food. If he could give some coins, she could buy something and eat, even a bun or something from the shop. Of course, Bhagwan knew better. And then Bhagwan kept quiet. I couldn't bring myself to ask anything anymore, despite the questions. And after that, about 9:45, 9:50, we came out to go to the ashram. And that's when I saw that. I saw this lady being seated. There was a function. There was one plot which was vacant, and then there was a house next to the plot. And there, those people had a function there, and this lady was seated right opposite to the house in a certain place, and they had spread a banana leaf and served many items. She had a sumptuous food, and she was enjoying every bit of it. It was a shock for me. I looked at Bhagwan. Bhagwan smiled and said, "What do you think this beggar is doing all the time?" I understood. Had I given just 1 rupee, 2 rupee coins, he might have gone away. Had we given something to eat from what was left over from the previous day, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been very poor food for her. But now, Bhagwan heard, he made her go to the place of the function, and he entered those minds there because it was no time for lunch. Usually the cooked food would be offered only around 11 o'clock, 11:30 or 12 o'clock, but that was hardly 10 o'clock. So somebody had taken it into their head to serve this lady before everyone. It doesn't usually happen. So he must have made somebody oblige. So he had arranged for good food, sumptuous food for that lady. And all the time he was only smoking and keeping quiet. And here I was getting agitated and thinking, why wasn't Bhagwan doing anything about it? It was so pathetic, the way the lady was calling out, "Amma, Amma, Amma." This is how Bhagwan arranges things in our life also, even today. Seemingly, it will look as though the problem is dragging on and nothing at all is happening. But Bhagwan will be busy at work, arranging and arranging the best way, the best possible way in the circumstances. He was very unpredictable. You would never know what he would say next, what he would do next. But I knew for sure that every second he was doing the tremendous work which he called his Father's work. And even today, we cannot see him physically, but his murti is here. Only this morning I was quoting Bhagwan. Bhagwan had said, the statues are no statues, the statues in the temple. They are not simply idols. They are God Himself. They have life. They are living, breathing, vibrant presence of God. So Bhagwan is here right in front of us. Sometimes, while he arranges things for us, he would also want to teach a lesson or two. So it takes time until we learn the lessons that we have to learn. we may not get things done. So we shall appeal to Bhagwan with an apology for the mistakes that we have committed knowingly or unknowingly. Because this situation, the present situation of the world, must have come from some collective bad karma. The dharma the dharma of Kali Yuga is that just go along with life as the mind dictates. We listen to the dictates of the mind, the fickle mind. And following the mind, this fickle mind, we do not think that we are going wrong. So let us appeal to the generosity of Bhagwan, the boundless compassion of Bhagwan, assure him that we would not repeat the mistakes that we have done. Please, we seek your divine intervention, immediate divine intervention, and free this entire humanity from the clutches of this dreadful virus, the Rakshasic virus, and bring normalcy in every aspect of life, everywhere, a normalcy based upon the values, dharma, prescribed by the great ones. And we seek Bhagwan's presence in the medicines announced by various groups of medical researchers so that they would work and kill this virus once for all.